Hello everybody. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about Operation Deep Freeze. Forgive me for starters, because I will be reading off of a script. So if I fail to look into the camera sometimes, my bad. Operation Deep Freeze is just around the corner. And just like with heavy metal, content-wise, it's a pretty damn good season. Hell, I'm even fairly okay with the changes to the nades. But once again, Ubisoft is bringing in, or more so doubling down, on by far the worst change they've ever added to the game. I'm, of course, talking about the playlist changes added in Operation Heavy Metal. If you didn't watch my latest video on it, I highly suggest you do that first. I'll have it pinned up here, so you can click that. Go watch that first. I highly recommend you know where I'm coming from first, because then you can understand why I think these changes are so detrimental to the game. Because in this video, I want to cover Ubisoft's out of this world poor choice to stand their ground regarding this change and what this means for Siege and my future on making content for this game. So, what's new? In the latest designer notes for Deep Freeze, we finally get our first response regarding our critique towards these awful changes. Now, it's more important to note that these changes were implemented despite criticism. Meanwhile, stuff like Frost Rework was tested across 3 different test servers. A small nerf to an existing character was more important for Ubisoft to get right than a fundamental change to the way that the game is played. But let's see what Ubisoft has to say regarding our critique. We feel confident about the quick match changes introduced last season. This is, at best, just arrogance. At worst, it's incompetence. Before, you could say that Ubisoft did an honest mistake. Maybe they thought they did the right thing. Sure, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Claiming once again that you're confident regarding something that many who truly love Siege would consider an abomination in terms of design, as it discourages strategy, creativity, and having the game play itself for you. Incentivizing run and gunning and fast gameplay. Your audience wants the game to be slower, not faster. Whoever it is that is doubling down on these changes, all I can say is that you are so incredibly out of touch. It's laughable. Now, Ubisoft follows this up by saying, the faster match time provides players a much faster paced experience. No shit, Sherlock.
If my grandmother had wheels, she would have been a bike.
Here's the thing. We don't want that. If anything, we want Siege to be slower. Just because you have set out on a goal to make the game faster doesn't mean that you're doing the right thing. This is just confusion from dev to dev. The mode used to be called casual, but since that name kind of had a stigma to it, it was changed to quick match instead. Because it sounds less like, oh, you're a casual, oh, you're a quick match player, right? It has less of a stigma. And now later on, a new devs comes in, they see the name Quick Match, and they think to themselves, well, why isn't it quick? And essentially, he's taking it up on himself to make quick actually quick. Even though that was never the issue. This, to me, as someone who really loves Siege for its slow and strategical nature, or what it's supposed to be, this goes against what Siege is supposed to be. We want Siege to be a strategic experience, a slower paced experience. We want to discourage hyper-aggressive play. We want to kill the TDM meta, but all you're doing is contributing to making Siege worse in all regards, as this affects all levels of play regardless of what game mode people play, which we're already seeing. People in standard or even rank are standing AFK in prep phase, blindly running in on attack, dying, and jumping back on TikTok. And you are encouraging this behavior. And then we move on to the next very questionable part. Pre-setups let defenders play fast without having to forfeit the strategic element of reinforcements. What strategic element are you talking about? You've set it all up for them. And with 30 seconds on the clock, you cannot identify which setup has spawned in order to warp it into a somewhat decent setup. Many operators have been absolutely gutted by the new timers. Operators like Mira, Maestro, Castle, etc. are completely unplayable in Quick Match 2.0. Meanwhile, operators that benefit from the reduced timers like Smoke are much more powerful. You've completely gutted the balance of the game because A, most operators are designed around the timers that were in place. And this, if anything, hurts strategy, since the viable operator pool for Quick Match 2.0 is significantly smaller. Now let's get to the best part. Having said that, we are aware of the community concerns regarding the new playlist ecosystem. Aware? My guy, if you were aware of these concerns, you wouldn't have highlighted fast as a positive thing earlier. We are back with the politician-esque answers, reducing major critique to simple concerns. We are not concerned. We know that it is just straight up bad. And we are experiencing these changes every single time we log on. I'm not concerned. I know that I am frustrated. I'm frustrated because the TDM meta isn't being adjusted. If anything, it's being encouraged. Now, listen to this. We realized that we made changes to the standard mode before having the completed map pool available in Quick Match. This isn't even the concern. I'm not sure if Ubisoft is just straight up clueless about the issue, or if they're trying to minimalize by not actually talking about the real issue why we think Quick Match is bad, which has nothing to do with the map pools. We dislike it because it's just straight up not Siege. Now, here's how Ubisoft are going to address these issues. Standard will now reflect the ranked pool. Listen, half-assing a change by going slightly closer to the way it used to be, the better way, is not enough. In order to fix standard and make it somewhat closer to a genuine unranked experience, we should at least have operator bans back, because then we can actually practice certain strategies with certain bans in context. Without that, we still do not have a proper way to genuinely practice before ranked. And for the people who loved old Quick Match, you are once again removing the option to play more maps in this setting. I love playing Fortress, sometimes plain, not really Yacht. However, I think everyone should have the option to play these kinds of maps. And this goes back to a larger issue. Standard is creating a divide between the people who want unranked and the people who want old Quick Match, because it's worse than both of the old modes. And as we've seen, they fail to satisfy either community. And it just creates a divide between us because we're fighting each other on what we actually want. With that said, later on they do hint at some way for people to pick from all maps. But I don't actually think that this is a good thing. We all know how the Siege community behaves around maps. Especially maps that aren't Clubhouse or Boregon. And I think some sort of a map pick system will actually create much less map diversity instead, which again is why old Quick Match was just simply better. Lastly, we get into a interesting change that allows us to understand what Ubisoft thinks Quick Match is. With the new reputation system, if a player reaches dishonorable, they will be locked to Quick Match until they've served their suspension. That's right, Ubisoft are making Quick Match into a prison. A purgatory, if you will, for the toxic souls of the community. And you poor people who still play Quick Match, I don't know why anyone would, because it's such a horrible experience, but to each their own. Some people are into CBT. But your poor people who actually enjoy this mode will now be stuck with the most toxic, downright horrible people that the Siege community has ever seen, until they've served their sentence. But that's basically the news, and I've kind of started losing hope with this. I was hoping that they would be backtracking because that would be the sensible thing to do, but to see Ubisoft double down on this, it's not looking good. And I'm not alone in this. I've had a handful of friends that have just straight up quit Siege this season because of these specific things. The ruination of quick match as well as unranked. And no, Ubisoft, not because of the map pulls. In fact, this very announcement made them lose even more hope. Here's my plans. I still have some Siege content in the pipeline. I have a Tachanka video coming up. I have a huge Alpha Pack video coming up as well. And I will also probably be making some content on the Shield Ops and also the changes that are coming to Shield Ops. But after that, probably sometime after New Year's, I will be taking a break from Siege. For how long? That's for Ubisoft to decide. As it's going right now, I'm not enjoying the game. Neither are my friends who I love to record with, and neither does my viewers. One thing I promised myself when I started making content was that I was gonna make content on stuff that I actually enjoy making content on. And right now, I'm not enjoying Siege. And with Ubisoft essentially doubling down on the changes that I feel like are straight up completely ruining the game for me, I'm not very hopeful. So during January, providing Ubisoft hasn't woken up yet and realized their horrible decision making, I want to experiment with other games. Both on stream on Twitch, link in the description, and here on YouTube. I think it'll be a lot better content when you can tell that I'm clearly enjoying the game. And if not, and this becomes the end of my channel, then I am happy that I went out on my own terms. Because I'm sure as hell not gonna sit down and force myself to play whatever the hell Siege is becoming. Thanks again for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.